God, that's always so dramatic.
Always.
Just how you like it.
Yeah. Hey, I take your Star Wars hoodie and I raise you my Star Wars hoodie. Adam, where's your Star Wars hoodie? Didn't you get the memo? Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Were you able to go to that?
Oh, that was the 2019 game, yeah.
Oh, the 2019. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't the good one.
No. That's the one I went to.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, ours not so much.
No.
So that was a long week of football, huh?
It's never ending.
Did 43 minutes ago.
Yeah, get a day off and then right back in the next week.
Yep.
A lot happened though.
Riding high.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if my team's riding high, even though they won. I don't know if the Broncos are riding high after their game.
That Teddy Bridgewater hit.
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
And from what I hear, he's still in the hospital. I haven't heard anything about him.
I heard he got out yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And he's officially concussed.
I'm still curious about that Chargers guy because he supposedly got released the next day for a concussion. I'm like, I don't know if that was just concussion.
When your arm's twitching like that?
Yeah.
There were a lot of those, though. I feel like there was at least 3 or 4 guys who had their face cast removed and carted off like that.
Yeah, there were. There was a lot of use of the cart this week.
Yeah.
And not in the fun Marshawn Lynch way.
That's a good way.
Classic
Marshawn.
Yeah.
But we can get cracking. We started a little late.
Yeah.
Chiefs Chargers. Thursday Night Football ended overtime. It was a good game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the Chargers should have had it, if not for them being the Chargers.
Yeah. I really feel like that.
Yeah. I'll second that.
They chargered it up.
Well, those are my words verbatim when the game was over.
Yeah. I mean, just that's Chargers. I don't know what to tell.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, letting Kelsey go off for that, though, like freaking 10 for 191 and 2 TDs is nuts.
I'd kick myself if I benched him on my fantasy team there, David.
I didn't bench him. I just wasn't playing. But I mean, what's also interesting is Mahomes was the Chiefs' leading rusher with 32 yards.
Well, that's their problem is that they have no rushing game.
Yeah.
That's why they're not going to win a damn thing until they get one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's more a case of not actually having a decent running back or not actually having a decent O-line or a combination of both.
I think it could be a combination of both. I mean, Hilaire's probably still a little hurt from last year. And
this season. He just came back.
Yeah.
On my arm.
Yeah, but when every linebacker looks like Bobby Boucher when they go running through there, you can't do a damn thing.
Yeah. That's what the other thing is. They've had a solid win streak.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, so they beat the Packers and the Cowboys. But they were close games.
At the same time, Packers didn't have Rodgers. I'm not even sure the Adams. I think about it, but without Rodgers, it was that close.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, the Cowboys also were kind of beat up. If I remember.
Yeah,
so,
they've been missing their offense. Let's see.
Well, and it happened right about the time that Ezekiel Elliott just likes to disappear in the year. Comes out really strong the first 6 to 8 games, and then he just goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That also might have been right after Dak injured his calf.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't been playing right since that happened.
No. Because starting, he was a legit MVP candidate, and now it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I can of course see them make a playoff push. just because you have that much talent. There's no reason you shouldn't. But some of the close games they've had, which has been like the Giants,
Mhm.
the Packers without Rodgers, which.
But at the same time, every other top team you can make knocks like that. I mean, hell, the Cardinals just got beat up by the Lions.
Yeah,
they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, it's there's not a single team right now where I'm like, yep, they look like they're hitting their stride. Like every single team looks like they have some pretty big weaknesses.
Everyone's consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West, is my thought, because my Donkeys aren't going to do it with Drew Lock. The Raiders are the Raiders, and the Chargers are just too damn young to get there.
They're too chargery.
Yeah. They're the Chargers, but that's the thing. The fact that
you could say
they still could pull it off. It was pretty wild this late in the season.
Any of them could, but I'm going to give it to coaching on this one, and the Walrus has it.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
And maybe I'm just mustache biased. I don't know.
I mean, that's fair.
Watching his play calling though in that Chargers game, he seemed to get a little more conservative and predictable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of underneath, a lot of little bubble screens, wide receiver screens,
which to me says I have no offensive line.
Well, and here's the other reason why I think the Chargers have a shot. So let's see, the Chiefs. I can't remember who they were playing next, but Kelsey might be out because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill just got added. They're missing Kyle Long. They're missing a linebacker. They're missing two guys on their O line, a tight end, and a cornerback, and their kicker.
But the thing is, Tyreek Hill has been a non-factor since the Super Bowl, and here's why. They figured out if you have a high safety on him and you force Mahomes to read on the run, he can't just bomb it down there like they have. He's not a great route runner, but he's fast as hell.
But if you take away both Hill and Kelsey,
so
that's a big loss right there. Especially when you're also taking away two starters from an already shaky O-line.
Mm-hmm.
And then losing two cornerbacks.
And again, it comes down to coaching for me.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. For example, they're so desperate. I think it was. Never mind. I'm thinking of a different team who just signed a different running back. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Reunited and it feels so good.
But so, again, I don't think the Chiefs are sitting comfortable right now.
They're not a lock, and the Chargers are probably the second biggest threat in there. Because a Drew Lock led Broncos team ain't it? And I don't know, the Raiders just kind of crashed and burned.
Yeah, it's really, I could actually see that division coming down to Week 18, honestly, because the Chiefs could easily drop because they're playing the Steelers, and while the Steelers are Steelers, they're still the Steelers. Where the Chargers have an easy game against the Texans. And the following week, Chargers host the Broncos, Chiefs play the Bengals. Those teams could easily go 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the Steelers, when they have T.J. Watt back in their lineup, which they do now, their defense is actually decent.
Yeah.
Ish.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how those two teams finish season, which I think applies to the next game too. Patriots-Colts.
The Colts ran away with it.
Quite literally.
You mean the Jonathan Taylors?
Yep. Jonathan Taylor show.
You mean Carson Wentz is a winning quarterback due to nothing he did again?
Live by the run, die by the run.
Yep. And Mac Jones had to, pass the ball more than 3 times.
Yeah. Passed 25 times because they couldn't get the run game going.
Yeah. Well, it's not like he had an awful game.
No, he didn't.
It was just the Patriots struggle against stopping the run, and the Patriots' run defense was struggling, and that's really what it came down to.
Which is interesting because perennially that's been their strong suit, is that front seven.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the hallmark of a Bill Belichick team.
I mean, what's funny though is like time of possession was pretty even. It was really
Yeah.
like a little over 30 seconds difference, and Patriots even ran more plays.
More plays had more yards, but the Patriots had 2 turnovers versus 1. Yeah,
That's the big one.
It
But-
really does seem like the Colts did more with their time. They were more
And-
efficient.
Jonathan Taylor is having a, we'll say a Jim Brown-esque season. Not to get too nostalgic on it, but you look at the numbers where he's leading everything. The last time it was done was Jim Brown.
If he were on a better team with a better record, he would be the MVP frontrunner, no question.
Oh yeah,
But
He's
because
already
he's
done
not,
that.
it's probably going to go to Brady.
I was going to say that there hasn't been a running back MVP since AP.
Yeah, I think it's been about that long.
Let's see. Sean Alexander won it. LT won it. AP
Those
won
are
it.
both after
Sure.
AP. I mean, before AP.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just
Yeah.
running through my head, and I'm pretty sure AP was the last running back to win
Yeah.
MVP. Mr. All Day.
I'm actually curious. When was the
2012.
last- I'm just actually curious. Who was the last straight up? The last. He was. Oh, AP was also the last non-quarterback.
Yeah.
And in fact, he is the only non-quarterback to win it since LT in 2006.
Yep.
That's actually like wow. Not even just that. It's wait.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot all about quarterback Rich Gannon. Didn't realize he won the MVP in 2002.
I mean, yeah, on a stacked team like that, you
Yeah.
just have fun.
But it's also so in the since 2000, it's Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, LAT, and AP. Each have won it once, and they're the only non-running quarterbacks.
Yep. Let's see. When Gannon won it, that's when they had Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and Raheem Ishmael. I mean, damn.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. Getting distracted here.
Sorry.
Suck.
My fault.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
the Colts did it. It'll be interesting
Yeah.
if they can keep on doing it.
They gave everyone the formula, which felt at least obvious to me. Run the ball against them.
Oh, James Jett too. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's that's the thing is like if you shut down the run, the Colts fall apart. They really, if they can't
Oh,
get that run game going,
Colts
they're
for sure.
done. So
Yeah, Wentz is going to make mistakes.
yeah,
He made one here, and he only threw it a handful of times. So,
Yep.
speaking of mistakes, Titans.
what was that? Those man. First of all, I didn't realize Derrick Henry came. Wait, no, that was a different game. I was like, I didn't realize Derrick Henry came back. Why was he showing up on stats? Because I clicked on the wrong game for the.
I thought he was looking at coming back at least.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I didn't realize he was back already. It's because I looked at the wrong week.
He's not.
Okay.
I mean, Foreman still ran for over 100 yards, but Tannehill's turnover had a fumble recovery.
Yeah, it's Tannehill definitely started to revert to Tannehill we grew up with.
Yep, he can
The
stay
Dolphins.
there. He can stay there. It's fine.
You don't want a Jimmy G Tannehill trade, you mean?
No. I mean, like, he can stay in the Tannehill zone because we play him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Was it tomorrow? Day after. Thursday.
Yeah, tomorrow's
Yeah.
the off day for the league, I guess.
Yeah.
Fantasy waiver day.
I mean, again, like I feel bad for the Titans just because they were just trucking along, and they were already starting some weakness. But as soon as Henry went down, they just and also, where was it? If they had won, they would have been in the first seed
Mhm.
and would have had about a 50% shot to win the first seed.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't working for them, saying they're missing AJ Brown on top of Derrick Henry, and then they lost Julio, I think, early.
Well, they're very much an old school type of football team where it's just straight up and down. We're gonna run. You know it. We don't care. We're gonna run.
Chain tackles.
Which works, but doesn't win everything.
Yeah.
And they're not dynamic enough to pull it out in the playoffs. I mean, I don't like Bill Belichick, but I had always been amazed when it'd be in the playoffs and he said, "Hey kids, that's cute. Watch this."
Mm.
And the Patriots would just change everything up.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think it's telling that the Titans lost the game, getting almost twice as many yards, 10 more first downs, destroyed him in the time of possession, but it's those 4 fumbles.
That sounds like Steeler football right now.
Coffee's for closers, man.
Yep.
They only play in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was.
And then it's like add on to the Belichick's changing the offense, in the postseason. That's still kind of old school. Someone like Bill Walsh used to do that.
Yeah, he did, but I don't see the Titans doing it.
I don't know if they can.
And that's the thing, is Tannehill's not going to be your dynamic quarterback you need.
Especially without the supporting cast.
AJ Brown and Julio and
Henry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to have a rough go. It sucks for them.
That's right.
I mean, and that's the thing also. It's like last year really did feel like it was both the Titans and the Bills' shot. It really did seem like things were just really coming together at the right time for both of them, and then they both fell short.
Now they're just slowly collapsing.
Yep.
Like a flan in the cupboard.
And speaking of the Bills Panthers.
Kept them in the hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, not only does it keep them in the hunt, it keeps them in the hunt for the division, which is even, I think, more critical for them with that rematch.
Should Christian McCaffrey just start a petition to get him, out of there?
Probably.
Yeah.
The organization from the very top down.
Yeah.
Seems in disarray.
Well, when you're paying your starting quarterback on top of paying your starting quarterback and his 2 replacements in between, I have questions.
Yeah. But, I mean, it sucks that the Panthers have so many good pieces and they keep showing flashes of what they could be even with their current roster, but they just can't. They just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they have some promising receivers. You, of course, have McCaffrey, who's an offense by himself, and a good defense. Yeah, you should be doing better.
So, who would you rather have in terms of a one-man running back offense? Taylor, Henry, or McCaffrey?
Taylor.
Damn.
That's actually real. And here's why. McCaffrey is already on his second major injury. It's downhill from there. Henry was due for an injury. Like I think I even said the first episode, it's like I didn't pick him because I just had a feeling he was bound to either have a down year or get hurt because he's getting close to that age, whereas Taylor's still young. And he's also good in the passing game. Like he's more of a bruiser, but he is serviceable in the passing game. So yeah, Taylor hands down.
Okay.
I'm curious to see how Taylor pans out next season.
Yeah.
Also because that's that third year. Running backs will either show that they're stalwart, like they're going to be healthy season in, season out. They're going to be that guy. Or he's going to get banged up.
Yeah.
Kind of like Aaron Jones, because he's in that same spot. Third year, you see either, I think maybe he was fourth, but either way, he got his extension, and he's been in and out. Even right now, he's playing injured. Producing points and production, but AJ and Dillon look really good. Why I really keep you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be curious to see what happens with Jones, just because every time it feels like Dylan's about to like just run away with that competition, either Jones goes off or Dylan face plants and they have to rely on Jones. Like and it's really we even seen that with a few of like the places with running back committee where every time one of the running backs looked like he's about to separate from the rest of the team, just falls right back. The Bills have been plagued by that, where none of those guys can ever really get any like momentum. The Niners, all you guys keep on getting hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that's also something I'm going to give the Bills this week. Yeah, I was against the Panthers, but they stuck with the run. Singletary ran 22 times for 86.
Yeah, which the Bills need that because Allen clearly can't do it all.
Yep.
Yeah,
and he's even regressed a bit this year too, which I hate seeing because I like Josh Allen. I was watching the famous Idaho Potato Bowl while at work today, and watching Wyoming. I thought, God, Allen came out of here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, I mean, the Wyoming's current quarterback is starting to do similar stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
So people already seeing him as another Josh Allen.
I guess it beats drafting North Dakota State University quarterback or something.
In their defense, it's still a TBD. Still TBD.
It is. I think the competition leap on that one though is just we'll say staggering.
But at the same time, I mean, Allen went through the exact same thing. His first year was a struggle for him.
Oh yeah.
Second year he got better, but it was still kind of a struggle. It wasn't really until last year. And that's also, I think, another thing is it's not that surprised that he's regressed this year. It's just really you see that take any QB who has like an amazing season like he had, they pretty much always regress back to the mean.
Yep. Yeah, they do. So
I mean, I don't know if it's regressed to the mean, but this next game, these two teams.
I mean,
Texans Jags, man.
Tickets to the Jags.
I mean, without Urban's leadership.
So let's be honest, the leadership was never there.
No.
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence didn't have a pick on 38 attempts. So I'm good for him there. Robinson actually ran the ball, which I loved in fantasy. But yeah, like I heard some reports too that like some of the coaches were like, "This is no different. He was never here."
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "I saw him 8:30 in the morning at the brief. I didn't see him for days after."
Well, he just made it into the Urban Meyer show, and I think he just got used to strolling in and whipping it out and saying, "Guys, pissing contest, let's go. I'm Urban."
Yeah.
See these rings?
But when you're, around kids rather than grown-ass men.
And not that easy.
I
will be intrigued to see what happens with Jacksonville if they can get an actual coach. Because they have a lot of really great pieces. It really did seem like their season was forfeit just because they had no coaching. It really does. Because they were crazy competitive in games. They really shouldn't have been. Like, there were times like, how did you win that game in the fashion you did? But then other times they just, they made this Davis Mills guy throw for 200 yards and got blown up by 30 points by the Texans.
Yeah.
So.
You think that they're actually going to take the time to get a competent coach this time?
I mean, they'll try. It depends on how available, though.
I understand why Shad went the direction he did. Hey, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. You've been Mr. Big Shot everywhere you've gone. But
you're a winner. Obviously, you have winning cultures. On top of, I guess they've had conversations in the past. So, like, he knew Urban already.
Yeah, but you're not always going to get that Jimmy Johnson, that Bill Walsh that steps up from one level to the next.
And I mean, there's been a lot of guys around, like Kingsbury, guy that came out of Tennessee, I think Carolina now. Like, there's guys coming out of college, the NFL. But the biggest thing is, like, Urban, before doing this, he doesn't watch the NFL.
No.
He doesn't know people in the NFL. He just thought, I'm gonna walk in and this will be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it wasn't fine. And good luck getting another job, honestly.
I think
he
he's
could
done.
find a job in college. I think he still could.
I mean, South
Another
Central
thing.
Louisiana State University Mud Dogs need a coach anymore.
I mean, not even that. Like, let's be honest. It doesn't matter how awful you were at the NFL level and how bad you fuck up. There's still far too many schools who'd be more than willing to take you if you were, especially if you're successful at college level.
So, one Ute fan to the next, if Urban came to Utah and said, "Hey guys,"
No, as much as I've been critical of Witt, and I'm still like, yeah, the season's going well.
Yep.
But I mean, Urban, because he's not a guy who'll stay around. He's a guy
No.
who'll bounce around until he finds a situation like he had at Ohio State or Florida or what Saban has.
Can we just get a 30 for 30 about that Florida team? That's all I want for Christmas. I don't care about
I want a
anything
30-30 about this year's Jacksonville team because,
Yeah, spicy.
I mean, when I'm reading, I'm stretching and he kicks me. It's like, dude.
Right?
I would recommend, so Rich Eisen has been doing a ton of reporting on him, on his podcast. So I've been listening to him, and it's hilarious because he hates Urban so much. He went to Michigan. He's a Michigan guy, so he hates Urban so much. And he was cheering when he got fired. He's like, "It happened. I'm so happy." But he's still reporting on it, and he's still getting more information. That's
I'm sure
where I
it's gonna
got
be
the
a lot
info. Where it's like a coordinator was like, "Yeah, we saw him at 8:30, and it's 5:00, and we haven't seen him since."
Yeah, hot mess. What that is.
Yep.
But they did mention that we could see a Leftwich or McDaniels getting an opportunity.
I would like to see Leftwich get an opportunity.
Yep.
I always thought he was great in the field as a player. Not top tier, but he'd get creative with what he had around him.
Oh, yeah.
As a coordinator, he's been solid. We've seen the McDaniels experiment, and outside of Bill Belichick, it just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, the other thing with McDaniels is just that whole thing where what was the team he was going to go coach and then just basically changed his mind because he's essentially the heir apparent for New England.
You mean he pulled a Bill Belichick, like the day that Belichick was the Jets coach for a day?
But I mean, can you blame him? It's the Jets.
No, I can't. I mean, unless you're, no, I just no.
I mean, and here's the other reason why I hope that McDaniels takes over for Bill is that's the only thing I think keeping us from having Bill's son take over, and I don't want to see that guy's face any more than I need to.
Oh my god, it would be so hilarious.
Oh, it'd be so bad.
Looking the mic and stuff.
I had no idea.
That we could by that point we could see we find ourselves in a situation where Bill's son is the head coach of one team, and the opposite you have Kellen Moore, and those are both two really punchable faces.
Okay, can we throw Mark Davis in that?
He'll probably die by then.
He'll be the next coach of the Raiders. Think of that.
They need one.
Belichick going to the Raiders, and Mark Davis standing next to him.
They mentioned something during the Vikings game and it's a new rule this year. Right now, only the Raiders and Jags can look for a new head coach. Because the new rule is you can't start interviewing until you've either fired or officially told the coach you're not bringing them back. So teams can't do that whole search for a coach early. It's going to be no, if you're going to start search for a coach, you gotta go all in, even if
they
you don't
gotta get shit canned first.
Yeah,
gotta get it done, as they say. The only thing that can help Mark Davis is a Floby.
Or maybe a fashion consultant and a new haircut.
Yeah, right.
Even then, I don't think that'll do anything for him.
No, and I know I sound like a catty bitch on that one, but
that one's well deserved for him
Yeah.
man, he makes way too much money to be having looking like that.
I mean, how can you be okay being that rich and just looking like the weird eccentric pedophile?
Yeah,
Is he rich? I don't know.
He owns an NFL team. I assume you have to have at least some money.
yeah, you think so?
And you would think Jerry Jones would eat better than McDonald's in the morning. So
Funny, I was gonna say. Speaking of like old owners who look like they could be
Hey.
pedophiles, Cowboys.
right there. Cowboys
Great
fans.
introduction.
Yeah. Poor Keem, I missed out.
I mean, he doesn't like Jones either. So
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I think it would have been like, I can't believe you said that. It's funny, but I can't believe you said that.
when the first thing you do is fire Tom Landry and don't have the balls to tell him and he has to read about it in the paper,
He might be Jerry Jones.
you might be Jerry Jones.
I mean, all things
He's
considered,
fired.
with this game-
He's fired 2 future Hall of Fame head coaches,
Yeah.
or they are Hall of Fame head coaches. He fired 2.
I don't know if Jim
Johnson.
Johnson is yet, but
Did.
Tom Landry
Sure he is.
certainly is. I think he is.
He did recently because they did a whole thing because you watched Aikman cry in the booth when he.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, his eyes were just, inflamed from hay fever.
But, that's what you get for having too many beers in the booth, right? So
Yep.
Joe Buck admitted that one.
Oh,
Anywho,
So
Yeah.
Joe Buck and Chris Collinsworth walk into a bar. Everybody leaves.
they would too.
Yep.
Everyone would be
Yeah.
asking their husbands, "Why are we leaving?" Because
Shut up. Shut up. Nope. It's too hard.
in real life.
There's not enough whiskey on earth.
There really isn't.
Nope.
But yeah, so the game.
But how it connected with Mike Glennon in the game.
I
mean-
think it went about how we expect with Mike Glennon.
I appreciate Barkley got to run more. His average was worse than Booker's though, and also like when they need to tell Zeke, you're going to be a situational guy now. Pollard's going to take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, seeing Booker do what he did, that was actually really awesome to see. Well, because again, he's a Utah guy. It was
Yep.
awesome to see Booker do what he did. And this is also like Barkley was another one of those guys where a lot of people are like, "Hey, yeah, like should I get Barkley?" I'm like, "No, I don't think he's going to have a good season this year." And
I was on board for a late second, third round pick.
Yeah.
Sure. At
Yeah.
that point, I'm like, it's worth the gamble, but I'm not spending a first on him.
oh yeah,
No.
and anyone who took him in the first round, I think, got exactly what they deserved with him.
They were Giants fans, let's be honest.
Yeah, which can't be that many of them left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but what's interesting about this game is I do feel if they had had a better quarterback,
You mean other than Long Neck Glennon?
yeah, because like I mean, really, even in the first, like, okay, yeah, they only got 3 points in the first half, but they still ended 53 and held Dallas to 3 field goals and a TD on 4 scoring drives.
Yep.
That was still a manageable deficit to come back with if you had a better quarterback who's not throwing you 4 interceptions or whatever.
Yep. But by the way, I know it's off topic, but this is my polar bear. I bought her a red scarf so I can dress her up as the Coca-Cola bear for Christmas.
Nice.
Nice. Just don't get sued.
It's not Disney. I'll be fine.
Is though?
No,
just-
I'm
Sure
pretty
they're not
sure
owned
they're
by
like
Disney
one of
anymore?
3 corporations that are
Yeah.
not owned by each other.
Yeah, you got like a 33% chance they're owned by Disney at this point.
Yeah.
Oh. And
Yeah.
then my favorite game. Getting away from the Cowboys. the
that
Lions
was
Cardinal game. Oh.
It was just ugly.
what
I mean, I
happened.
put fake money on the Cardinals, but I'm still happy. Like,
Are who we thought they were. And the Cardinals are still the Cardinals, unless they have Kurt Warner, and then they still fuck it up.
Seahawks fan.
It's never a great time to be a Seahawks fan. I mean, when you have 8 losses and never mind. Nope.
I mean, the announcers at the end of the game tonight basically were like, "Yeah, they're done."
Yeah. Oh, that's their first losing season.
Mhm.
Yeah. Russell Wilson's career.
Yeah, and Russ has already been complaining.
Mhm.
So,
And can you imagine that they brought in Matt Flynn instead of Russ to start with?
I remember that. Like,
Yep, paid a king's ransom to Green Bay for it.
to be fair, Flynn came off a good season. They gave up way too much for him.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to see if they're able to keep the band together. As far as goes, you know what?
So you're not a Seahawks fan. You're a Russell Wilson fan.
If you're a Russ fan,
I mean, you could still at least listen to Sierra.
I was going to say though, like that just makes you no different than like all the.
it's fair.
Probably no.
No, but Tua actually works for the Finns.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. I mean,
Legion of Boom was disbanded eons ago. I mean, you might as well have the Road Warriors and the rest of the WCW did with that one.
Hey, I can still be a fan of the Purple People Eaters because that's basically all we really got going for
I'm
us.
still with Orange Crush.
Hey, do you? I think it'd be interesting though, to see if like Carroll goes instead of Russ. You lost the Legion of Boom, and you're about to lose Russ. It's all over Carroll.
At the same time, it's one of those. I think it's especially where they're at now. He has a shot at trying to rebuild, and he may go for that because at the very least, they'll probably get some good draft picks or some quality players, not quality like solid players in a trade for Russ, and that gives them that combined with where they're probably going to finish, they're in a good spot where they could start to rebuild.
Yep.
So, I think Carroll will give it at least 1 year after post Russ.
He'll be there like 1 or 2 seasons if Russ leaves.
Yeah.
If Russ stays, same deal. I think he stays.
Yeah.
Yep. If Russ gets courted off to the Rocky Mountains, I think Carroll's just done.
I mean, I don't know. It's we'll have to see if he can actually rebuild, rebuild. Because while they've had, he's brought in pieces, replaced ones he's lost. He still hasn't had like a full on rebuild. He's still had those cores, that core guys he's been building around, and they've been needing a fair amount of money. I mean, what's Russ's contract?
So
hold on, they've been needing a lot of pieces. They've been needing.
Yeah, I'm not saying he did a good job about building around those.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Seeing a full rebuild of actually having to. I can't try to build around these people. I need to build something from the ground up. That may be easier, maybe not, because especially when you have someone you've been building around and they're established, that might be harder for Carroll to build around. Because then I need someone who works for this guy.
It's going to be sad when Bobby Wagner gets picked up for 2 baseball cards and a pack of bubble gum, like happens with every really good linebacker.
Yeah. Basically, get slapped on a practice squad.
Especially when it's going to be the Patriots picking him up for that. Then he'll have like a Pro Bowl season.
So
I do have like a wild accusation that might still happen, like with Russell Wilson. So I guess at one point, a couple of years ago, they almost traded him to the Browns before the Browns took Baker.
Yeah.
What if they would do that now? Because Baker is about to be either a free agent or they resign him. Like I think he's in a contract year.
Yeah.
But he's apparently has some bad blood with management, whatever level that's at. So they let Baker walk. Baker could sign with the Seahawks, and then the Seahawks trade Wilson away to Cleveland. I think it'd be funny, but it's possible.
And here's the thing that I actually, honestly, Wilson on that team, I don't hate.
No.
With the roster they have right now?
Good.
He'd be actually competent at quarterback, which they don't know what the hell to do with if it happens.
Just like honestly, at that point, all they would really need would be a really good number one receiver. That's really what they would need.
So hold on.
Metcalf.
You get Jarvis Landry. You had Odell. I mean, it's not like you haven't had. Yeah. So they've had really good receiver prospects. But you need the quarterback to get him the damn ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like, but what I mean by like the number one is like, Landry's what, he's going to be 30 next year. He's getting to that point where you're probably going to, even with a good quarterback, he's going to start declining. So that's what I mean by.
Oh yeah, no, they're going to Julio Jones
on that
him
team
and send him off to some godforsaken non-pass happy team for picks.
And that's the thing, like with Russ, use those picks to get like a nice young up and comer, or even keep Landry. Use a draft pick to get another guy in the draft. That's a really solid offense right there.
Yeah, but who do you pick up in the draft this year? It's not a very quarterback-friendly draft.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like I'm talking about for the Browns.
Oh.
Yeah, you shop Wilson to the Browns. They use a pick to pick up a receiver.
Yeah.
Even then, like, there's going to be some receivers that hit free agency. Mm-hmm. I know one big one will be Godwin because he was under. Basically, just had a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
But he'll be coming back from ACL, which I think meant more previously.
Yeah.
But you get him on a budget.
Well, yeah. I feel bad for the dude.
Completely. Which
shit, I even feel bad for Brady. I mean, when Antonio Brown's going to be your primary receiving,
I have zero.
When he's back from suspension, but we'll get there. Do we got anything else for Lions and Cardinals?
I mean, other than just like the whole general, what the hell happened, and Cards lost like 3 of the last 5 or something.
The Lions will still pull off these games once in a blue moon when they'll be in the middle of a shit year. And it used to be, oh yeah, it's Stafford doing Stafford. It's Calvin Johnson doing Calvin Johnson. But
it's a bunch of nobodies who beat the Cardinals.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like again, the Cardinals have dropped 3 of their last 5. The number 1 seed was theirs. They just had to win a few more games, and now they're only they're down to like what, the 3rd seed, 4th seed.
I think so, and their run defense was never the same after Watt went out.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is the Cardinals are actually in danger of losing the division lead too.
Oh yeah.
And in that division, I mean, God.
And the Niners are 2 games back, so we need help. But the Rams right there.
Yeah, and the Rams just won in division. So. Jets, Dolphins. Dolphins beats Jets.
I mean, it was closer to start than I expected.
Yeah.
Tua had 2 interceptions. I mean, Wilson didn't do much.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Jets were winning 17-10 at half. So
I don't know how, but
fighting.
I mean, if the Jets had actually won, it would have been just as big as when Appalachian State won in Michigan. I know, they're a professional football team.
That and also, like,
paper.
The Dolphins have been... The Dolphins are where Michigan was at the end of that season.
Yeah, but at the same time, Dolphins have, what, a 7-game win streak right now? 6 game, 7 game?
I mean 6, but also at the same time. So that win streak, okay, they beat the Ravens, cool, but the rest is Texans, Jets, Panthers, Giants, Jets.
Okay.
So it's a 6-game win streak, but what are the easiest schedules you can get a win streak? That's right there.
Yeah.
So. And that's, I think, one of the, like, their next 3 games are going to say a lot more about the Dolphins because it's the Saints, Titans, and Patriots.
Yeah.
If they can finish on a strong note, I think that gives them a lot to build on going into next year.
Definitely.
Speaking of stuff to build on next year, Bengals Broncos.
Bengals Broncos.
That one
At
still
least the
hurts
Bengals
my
have
head.
stuff to build on.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals are leading their division now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the fourth seed.
I think as long as Mixon can stay healthy, then the Bengals have a shot.
Yeah.
Joe Burrows is not a bad QB.
No.
I like the fact that I actually really like the fact that they brought in Jamar Chase. He's not the most talented wide receiver out there, but he's definitely talented. But it's a chemistry thing.
Yeah.
You know, it just works.
I am curious to see if the Bengals are going to be able to keep all three of their top receivers. Like they have a crowded receiving core, and not only crowded, but with guys who are talented enough that they could be two, maybe even one on a different team.
Let's see, who do they have again? Because AJ Green they got rid of, right?
It's basically so Chase, Boyd,
Green's
and
still
Higgins.
there? Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Chase, Boyd, and Higgins.
Yeah. Like Boyd is the one I could see actually going somewhere just because he's the one who tends to get the least looks. But he has the talent to be the top receiver.
He does. He does.
It's just Burrow has chemistry with Chase and Higgins. I don't know.
And Mixon too. I mean, the dude is phenomenal out of the backfield, even catching the ball. I'm a fan of him, even though I kind of saw what he did to my beloved donkeys. It happens.
Yeah.
When Bridgewater went out, I knew.
Yeah. What you mean? You didn't have any faith that Locke could bring you guys back?
John Hallowed be his name, Elway, is the best quarterback to play the game, but is the shittiest GM at drafting a quarterback.
You think he'd be better at scouting his own position, so well.
Yeah, well, it's the same reason why I say Michael Jordan could never coach, could never draft. He says, no, shut up, I did it my way.
Yeah.
Of course, early John Elway would be, shut up, I'm fine, we're going to the Super Bowl. Not until Shanahan got there and dried his ass out that they actually won, but that's still why I say, best of all time, because to get to 3 Super Bowls that drunk, hey, hats off to you, man.
How would you feel? There's real talk that Peyton Manning could buy the Broncos. And
I'd be okay with that.
He'd have a real talk with Elway and be like, look, either you need to step away or we need to work on this a lot better. Because, it is big pick, especially QB.
So, Pat was one of those owners that dude cared. He understood the game. He was there at the birth of the AFC, bringing it in. And not because I'm a fan of the team, but I'm a fan of the man. Real classy guy. His wife has done a nice job with it, but it's not the same touch. You need a football guy in there. Peyton's a football guy. Or gal. Yeah, I don't really care. It's not a gender thing. It's just you need somebody who has a passion for the sport.
Yeah.
And Peyton definitely has it. So much that his head grew 8 sizes just with his love of football and knowledge in there. He's like the Grinch.
I would be really intrigued to see if Peyton can translate his wealth of knowledge and understanding of the game into coaching or being a GM or a team owner or something.
Yeah,
I will be because I don't know. I really don't know if he can translate that.
I always saw it as like he would probably make a great coach because of how cerebral he is and his IQ. Like that's something that you could teach someone, like those little intricacies. Coaching, I think he could do that, or as an assistant to start.
I think he'd make a better coordinator than a coach, though. I do, because the coach,
I think he would.
has a lot more like the administrative stuff and the planning, like seeing overall. Where he seems like he is better suited for. He's going to be like your passing coordinator, something like that, where he's going to focus on the thing he's really good at. He's going to make sure your guys are prepared and do what he ever can to pass on his knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say I don't think he couldn't be a coach. I think that's just really where he would excel, because that's also seems like he's very good at playing that mentor role. He's a lot better at that than.
And if you've looked at the all-time greats before that have transitioned into coaching, Singletary, for example, one of the best linebackers ever to play the game as a coach, he couldn't do it. Ditka,
head coach,
best tight end of his generation, Hall of Famer as a tight end, but as a coach, I mean, he did okay with the Bears, but that's about it. After that, it just tanked. And I think I'm not pulling away from him. I'm pulling away from the fact that was the team, that was that generational defense that did it. Because outside of that, it didn't work.
And I'm kind of curious, like with Singletary, because he was a good linebacker coach, because he had Willis, he had Bowman, Takeo,
Smith.
God, he's coached some really good linebackers.
That front seven was sexy. I'm just saying, man.
Oh yeah, but I'm curious, like how much of that coaching was a part of their careers versus them just being these like really talented linebackers.
Yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
And that's kind of the thing is like it's how much that just they just happen to have a good roster, and how much was actually their coaching, and it's really hard to judge.
I mean, the Niners had losing seasons when he was coaching there, so they still had a top defense, but or at least talent with Willis and Bowman, Spikes.
But I will say, I'm pretty sure that Peyton could craft defense as well, as he breaks them down.
Yeah, but he also seems like the kind of guy like. I would also wonder if he would be able, because I think he would really have to lean on a solid D coordinator.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if he can. That's another thing. It's like we've seen him be the mentor and the leader, but how good is he at delegating?
See another Wade Phillips resurrection? You laugh, but the thing is, that guy has created some of the best defenses in the last 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's out the door. And I never understood that.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of his defenses tend to fizzle out, though, too. Like Dan Quinn in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It just got figured out, and then he just doesn't make adjustments fast enough. And we just need to.
Although, also in Dan Quinn's defense, I think he just got Belichicked. There's no two ways about it. He had them in the bag, and Bill got in his head, and he just never recovered from that as a coach, as a head coach.
Yeah, I could see that. Fair.
Yep.
So it's funny that we were talking about Shanahan because Niners Falcons, and also Dan Quinn, Niners Falcons.
Speaking of which, I saw Mike Shanahan when they unveiled his statue. And he's just there with all white hair, little old guy, and it took me half a minute to say, "Oh my God, that's Mike Shanahan."
Little man. Oh man. But that game started rough. And then not so rough. You fumble the opening kickoff. Atlanta gets it with 10. But then they go for it on fourth down, and then you got the ball. You keep them out. They did that 3 times in this game. Ridiculous.
And it's one of those where you walk away feeling glad that their offense is basically Patterson and nothing, because a better offense probably wouldn't have done that.
Do you remember when Matt Ryan was considered a top quarterback in the league?
He still did pretty well. 236 and a touchdown. He made a lot of plays, passes. I saw that. I think a lot of quarterbacks would have thrown an interception because he got hit but got it out, and it still hit the player, in the chest.
Yeah,
he had quite a few drops going against him for me, and it helped that the Niners were really stout on the run game. That was big.
Yeah. I still question paying Fred Warner that much money and getting rid of, say, DeForest Buckner. But,
well,
it's working for him. I know.
Well, Buckner was the trade-off for Ward. Because Warner was this season. So I want to say Ward, Kittle, and one other person.
Yeah, you guys had a few people you had to sign. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a lot of signing.
Speaking of signings, there's something I saw I want to bring up. My Donkeys, they signed Clinton Dix to the practice squad. So I'm thinking of that duo of safeties between Simmons and Dix.
That sounds like a good old-timey detective. I'm Dick Simmons.
Not gonna lie, I was pretty disappointed that the Niners cut him at the end of preseason.
Yep.
I was so excited to have just Dix in the back.
You always are.
True San Francisco man.
Yep.
Hey, how perfect was that?
Yep.
I think he was even number 49 at the time. Like, oh, this is beautiful. He number 49. You got
Just makes me moister than an oyster.
Oh, so good. I mean, that was a good game. I'm happy, definitely, that we won. And what's interesting is like Debo was a factor, but he wasn't a factor because he wasn't a huge factor in the past game. That was all George Kittle. Ayuk landed one catch, and then Juan Jennings. It's big for moving the chains.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, it seemed like that game came down to Wilson. You guys' run game went off, and that's really what did it for you.
That was my biggest concern going into it. Because he showed flashes in the previous game of the Wilson he kind of had been previous seasons, where he had this kind of burst within a step, like he'd hit the hole and just be gone. And just coming back from injury, he didn't show that the past few games. He would just take the contact, get a couple yards.
Yeah,
which was still good, but no, he showed the Wilson that he was prior to the injury in this game.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get back Elijah Mitchell by Thursday, I still feel pretty good about Wilson going in.
Yeah, after that showing. Especially since you're hosting the Titans, too. I think that can definitely...
we're going to Tennessee.
Favorite. Oh, you're right. Oh, never mind. For some reason, I thought you guys were hosting. I resigned my statement.
I mean, what's also funny is the Falcons are still in the mix for the playoffs. So just be positive for them. Like, oddly enough, they are. Pitts look good. Russell Gage look good, but I mean, we still need a number one receiver.
Yep.
Or Matt Ryan.
You have what? Only 3 teams out of playoff contention right now?
Pretty much. I think it's just Titans, Jags, Houston. Oh, and Lions, I think are
and Lions.
Yeah, they got officially.
I mean, are the Jets still in it?
I mean, I'm gonna guess
mathematically,
but in reality,
yeah. I mean, that's kind of like one of the things where, like you could say the thing like, the Giants are technically still in it, but not really.
Yeah.
But I think it's more just that says a lot about how this season has been going.
Yep.
Ooh. So here's something that's interesting. It's highly unlikely, but because I was checking, if the Bucks lose out, I'm gonna get ahead of ourselves. Because I was just curious, like, do the Falcons have a shot? I don't doubt they do, because I don't think they have the tiebreaker.
Would it be the Falcons or the Saints that have a better shot?
Well, so okay, yeah, so because the Saints would win out. If the Saints win out and the Bucks lose out, the Saints take it. But the Falcons, even if they win out, that means the Bucks are 1 game ahead. So, but they could still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's still something for them. Which I mean, and you guys are in a good position. You're sitting at 6th seed, and you have 1 game lead over like all the teams behind you. 1 or 2 games.
We have an 80% chance now I think we more or less lock it if we beat the Titans.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We're pushing.
To be honest, you should.
They should.
Is the key word.
Yeah.
Then again, the Cards
that's still a
should.
precarious spot they're in right there, though.
Should have beat the Lions. So it's if the Niners keep together, say, because they're going to play a Titans team without AJ Brown, without Leo Jones, and without Derrick Henry. So it should be easier, and especially if they can shut down the run. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it should create some.
Yeah, like I think you guys are good. I'm actually going through the playoff scene, and it seems like you basically have it.
Yeah, because we have the Titans and Texans, and then we play the Rams to wrap off the season. So depending on if the Cardinals can drop a couple games, and if the Rams can drop a game, I worked out a dream scenario where we win the West, but
Man, I love fantasy football too, but
this is next level.
Yeah, it's going meta.
Also, here's what's interesting. I'm just curious. Like, let's say, this game, this Titans game is huge for you guys because if you drop that, even if you win out, you would need both the Saints and the Vikings and maybe even the Eagles. No, okay, you still get in over the Eagles.
To round this back to Jimmy Johnson, I happen to have Waterboy on in the background. I forget he's in this.
I forgot to. But because even if you guys beat the Rams at the end of the season, if the Rams win their other games, and the Saints and Vikings went out, you guys are out. So, yeah, this Titans game is huge for you guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, speaking of huge games, that Ravens Packers game, man.
Snoop almost had him.
Yeah, I'd love seeing Huntley just get in there and actually.
Yeah, he did. Great.
And the thing is, if you need a backup for a guy like Lamar, who the hell is better than Huntley for you?
Yeah. I think that just showed that he's arguably one of the best backups for the team he's on out there.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe Hostetler, who won a Super Bowl with the Giants back in the day, but...
Yeah, that was back in the day. Would you trust him to win one now with the team he has?
No, he's old.
Exactly. Exactly. The fact that it really did, with the injuries they had, with everything going on, it still came down to a failed 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and it was a bad fail, but...
It was a bad fail, but I understand why they went for it. Even with Tucker, I get it. Because just the odds, it's playing the odds, especially when you're beat up, missing guys like the Ravens were.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing also. It's if he had gotten that, would anyone even question it?
No.
They'd say, oh no, it was ballsy move, he's playing to win. It's because he didn't do it. That's why people are criticizing.
You would have said, oh yeah, it's Harbaugh being Harbaugh.
Exactly. So I totally get, and I actually honestly think it was the right move because he's playing to win.
Oh yeah,
we're talking Ravens Packers right now. Huntley had 2 opportunities too because they literally created a gap. He could have ran it in. Yeah. Also, instead of throwing the underneath to Andrews, had gone towards the pylon on the other side. He had a receiver on the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the kid's a rookie, essentially. He's...
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. I understand why. But for as younger players, he did, especially when you're sitting behind a guy where you only get playing time if he gets hurt or it's garbage time.
Yeah.
He did really well against what is now the top team in the NFC.
He did. And when you're sitting behind a former MVP and somebody who has the wheels to do it.
Playing
I mean-
against another former MVP.
Yep. And I will admit, the Pack has had a better defense this year than I thought they were going to have at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Um,
Oh yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is going
Yeah.
to be Aaron Rodgers. I'm not surprised there at all.
I will say I think another thing that's really been going well for Packers is the receivers other than Adam have really seen to step up this year.
Yep.
Like the last couple of years, like
Lazard,
Scantling, Lazard, like all those guys always seem to like just be like not quite there. But this year they seem to have turned the corner at least for now. And I think that's also a
Mhm.
huge difference for them.
Oh yeah. Well, and even with that, with everyone going up against Adams, he still got it done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's more Devontae or more Aaron.
It could be both.
So
I mean,
I will say I
feel-
would get some joy if they drop like a first round, like in the playoffs, like they just drop out, lose
One
that
and done.
first game
Yeah.
You mean you don't want to watch him lose in the NFC title game again?
again.
So
As long as
I
they
mean,
lose, I don't care. But
I think it'd be amazing if we see both Rodgers and Brady faceplant in the playoffs. I would actually get a lot of joy from that.
yeah. Yeah, well.
most of their games have been really close, and some of them against like teams really shouldn't have been that close with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, what team can you not say that about?
I mean, like,
Um,
you get the Bears,
They're never close.
the Bengals.
Unless you're the Vikings, then you play them way too close.
No, you just start a fight in practice and get cut from the team.
There you go.
and
Yeah.
I mean,
we say Urban's the child.
I mean, realistically, I think the Packers have. I don't see them losing the number one seed at this point.
No, they're going to coast.
Yeah. Well, because they would require them to get swept by the Vikings. Which I don't see happening. That's not happening.
And
then, yeah.
one of those are going to be in prime time, and we all know where Kirk Cousin goes during prime time. He opens
Oh,
up
yeah.
the beer early and thinks about the locker room.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and then they get the Browns next week, and let's be honest, I don't know if the Browns are going to be replenished from COVID after this week.
Saturday.
Yeah, and then they end with the Lions, which the Lions just beat the Cardinals, but
Not gonna lie, it'd be hilarious to beat Packers though.
that would be
Huh.
amazing. But that's like saying it'd be amazing if the Bears beat the Packers.
I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to let the team he owns beat him.
No, he's not.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You're talking smack like that. Back it up. And I don't love Aaron Rodgers, but
Yeah,
I think it's great in the fact that he's like, nope, I own you,
yeah.
and try and stop me.
Yeah. Oh, and it's because he backed it up. Because he
Yep.
does. I do feel bad for the Ravens because man, that losing that close loss not only was it
Yeah.
heartbreaking, but then just that knocked him out of the playoffs right now.
Yep.
Like to go from leading your division to out of the playoffs is rough.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because they don't have an easy schedule to close out. He's got Bengals, Rams, Bears,
Yep.
so they could fall short.
Look.
Which, speaking of falling short,
Yeah. Saints, Bucks.
ooh,
Which-
boy,
To open
Um,
this, I'm wondering on if
put
the
up a-
Saints put up the bounty deal again.
Like, all I know is they threw up a goose egg on the scoreboard,
yeah, it's-
and it was ugly in the fact that you have Godwin go out, you have Leonard Fournette go out, you have, and then watching Brady on the sideline throwing the surface, I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
come on.
Game. Yeah.
a lot of people were talking like, yeah, of course he lost his 3 weapons, but before they all got hurt, they were still doing nothing. They were shut out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Or yeah.
all that talk
pushing
about
Brady.
Rodgers owning the Bears. Peyton owns the Brady-led Bucks.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He
You
does.
just put pressure to Brady, but at the same time, like some of those hits to the receivers,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Where
was
are
a
they, too?
little
Like-
chippy.
one high, one low, though, like they did that 2 or 3 times on Godwin before the last one just took him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did the same to Evans.
Yeah, they
It's
did.
like,
I still don't
Ah.
like it's. I think that seemed to be more that's Peyton's coaching style, especially in a division game. And again, like it's also one of those like if you ever think about it, it's the Saints are essentially 4 points away from being undefeated against Brady and the Bucks.
Yeah.
So I understand. Like I think that was just one of those super chippy. I mean, look at the Vikings Bears game where that was a super chippy game, a lot of dirty hits. I think it's the same thing where it was just a divisional game where the guys were, getting a bit too into the rivalry.
Well, it's a nut up or shut up game.
Yeah.
And the Saints just got in their head.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, and I think what's going to be real interesting is the Bucks have already been shown to be mortal this year. Are they going to be able to hang on with those injuries?
Yeah.
Godwin's gone for the season. If you're lucky, you'll get Evans. Yeah, you got
Fournette's likely at IR. They picked up Bell.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, what is it? Hope Evans comes back, and or that AB and Gronk and Le'Veon Bell can be your star players.
Okay. I will say, I have actually been surprised, but also impressed with AB's resurgence.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell, on the other hand, I don't see it happening.
But also,
not as
can't
much.
AB do it when they don't have Evans and Godwin to draw looks?
No,
It's true.
he's not the dude anymore. He's a great third option who is going to get you that big play, but he's not going to be the one to shake double coverage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's also kind of almost an underlooked takeaway from that game was the Saints were rushing against the Bucks. That was actually a big part of it. They weren't getting huge rush plays, but they're getting what they needed it. And that was, I think, what it really came down to was because let's be honest, if Saints had a better quarterback than Taysom Hill, that would have been a straight up blowout. He
you mean shutting out the Super Bowl the Super Bowl champions is not a blowout?
9-0. With a better quarterback, it's 3, 4, 5 score.
Can we just say it's insane that Taysom Hill is making $11 million this year and the entire payroll for the WNBA is $10 million?
Yep.
It's horrible.
I mean, I did see a lot of Saints fans talk about this is why we should have played Hill from the get-go. I'm like,
no,
you guys really weren't watching that game very closely.
And Mr. Krabs, when he doesn't have sticky fingers, isn't bad. He's not great.
Yeah.
But he did throw 30 touchdowns.
Yeah. And he had some really solid runs. He ran like a running back, but
he takes pressure off of Kamara because Kamara was bottled up that game.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, okay, you look at Lamar Jackson, and he's continually called a running back, not a quarterback, because he runs the ball so well. But then we look at Taysom Hill, like, no, he's still a quarterback, even though he's their leading rusher.
Yeah. Well, also, at least Lamar can pass.
Yep.
Yeah. He asked him to, he can.
I don't know.
Yeah, I will be curious to see if the Saints can keep it going. If the Saints somehow steal the division from the Bucks, granted that requires the Bucks to lose the Jets, which I don't think is going to happen.
Kind of like the cards and lines.
That's fair. That's fair.
Zach Wilson might actually play out of his mind for once.
Which I think would be amazing to see. I would love to see the Bucks lose the division because they drop a game to the Jets.
Hmm.
I mean, if you think Brady's meltdown this week was bad,
Oh,
imagine
he
if
will
he
lose it.
loses to the Jets.
He will lose it, and it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I think
hope it happens.
yeah. Oh, God, New York teams.
Yeah. I mean, then you got the Raiders, which are like a New York team.
Yep, Raiders Browns, which
That was
I chalk that up to just the play calling and the coaching of the Browns.
I mean, but in defense, like the Browns are like on their ninth string players.
Well,
Yeah.
so your third string quarterback has experience, but literally majority of their passes, at least in the first half, were behind the line, short, dink and dunk. Like they didn't really let him go through progression or throw a ball, and the couple he did, they were dropped.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, you let him because you're trailing, and yeah, he puts up good numbers, gets you the lead.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, honestly, I expected that to be an ugly game, and it's exactly what I expected that game to go. You have the Raiders, who are a hot mess, versus the Browns, who just got absolutely hammered by COVID.
It's just, do you want brown shit or black shit? Because you have either there.
Yep.
I expected it to be Chubb heavy. It was Chubb-ish heavy.
Yeah.
Well, with a solid Chubb back there, it usually gets the job done.
Yeah, I mean...
Sorry, you went for dicks in the back. I'm going for solid Chubb.
Hey.
It's fair.
Gotta keep them going.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about the game. It was, I think, what we expected it to be.
Yeah, close. Basically, the team that made actually didn't make fewer mistakes, but took more risk.
Yep. I think it goes down to quarterbacking as well, because while Carr is not your MVP dude, he's not a bad quarterback. I don't understand why he gets the hate he does.
Because he's on the Raiders, and the Raiders constantly let him down.
Shit. If somebody said to me, "Hey, you have an opportunity to trade for Carr, you get rid of Bridgewater and or Locke, done, heartbeat, no questions."
I think there's a lot of teams who would take Carr.
Yeah. I mean, I'd even buy him more eyeliner. I don't care.
You just paint his whole eyes black.
I mean, let's get the old '90s Bill Romanowski full face eye black going.
I think he'd just embrace it and go full like Alice Cooper or something. Like just totally just start showing up like Kiss.
Yeah.
Own it.
Speaking of quarterback play, Vikings, Bears, huh?
What an ugly game.
Kicking Cousins on the fields.
Like, that is one of those wins where you're like, I am not happy about that game at all.
I think the thing I enjoyed the most was at the end of the game, the announcer saying, "Kirk Cousins, look at him. He's winning games in prime time."
Yeah, that was... I said it in Discord last night. The Vikings were really lucky they were playing a Matt Nagy offense. And the Bears were really lucky they were playing a Mike Zimmer defense. Because change out of one of those things and it's a blowout either way.
Yep.
I mean, like, again, it's the Bears outgained the Vikings by close to 200 yards.
Yeah.
They had 11 more first downs, even time of possession, but it was turnovers.
Yeah.
And even with those turnovers, it was turnovers that the Vikings struggled to turn into touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's always been the Vikings' problem for the last, is closing the deal.
Yeah. Like, not only did they struggle to turn those into touchdowns, they struggled to turn them into points.
Yep.
And, yeah, like, I mean, you have a fumble led to a field goal, fumble led to a punt. You had a turnover on downs led to a punt, a turnover on downs led to a punt.
So, okay, on the Vikings calendar of the apocalypse, I know that winning a game on a field goal is definitely on there. They did that 2 weeks ago, and now Kirk Cousins winning in primetime. That one's a box we can check off too, right?
They essentially
Didn't
already
do
checked
much
that off
though.
when they beat the. They won a what was it? Was it a primetime game?
Yeah.
Against
Already.
Seattle,
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
which was a
That's
double apocalypse.
right.
Because they had never beaten Wilson, especially not in a primetime game.
Well, now I think it'd be a toss-up.
I mean, realistically, what I see happening is I see the Vikings dropping the next two games because it's Rams and Packers.
Yep.
And so I think the Niners are just fine in the playoffs. Because, yeah. It's a bad side
Yeah.
when both of your last two wins, you're like, do I really feel good about those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to see a W, but shit.
The way
Yeah.
you win it says a lot about the future games coming up, because to feel better about those future games, you guys should have more points on the board against the Bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Cousins should have been a factor, but he kind of
Wasn't.
wasn't.
Yeah.
He's 7 yards.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like Cook can't have any more seasons left with how often he gets hurt. Thielen's still a great receiver, but he's also been getting hurt. He's getting old. So you have, okay, you'll get Irv Smith back. He's a great tight end. Conklin's a good tight end. Madison's a good, if you don't have Cook, you have Madison. You have Jefferson, and you have a couple other guys, but it's a lot of your really big stars are going to start dropping off. Like, I mean, Harrison Smith, he is essentially the leader of that defense.
Uh-huh.
The dude's getting too old.
Uh-huh.
Barr, the only person who's missing more playing time on the Vikings than Cook is Barr.
Yep.
And he's like their highest paid defender.
Y'all just cut your starting cornerback.
Yeah, but also at the same time, the guy had not been playing well.
No.
Yeah, Zimmer doesn't have control of his team. And
No, he
that's
doesn't.
actually the other thing that sucks about these wins is at least if he was like getting blown up, then maybe finally they'll rip the Band-Aid. But if he does enough to go like, hey, we're competitive, even if they squeak into the playoffs, it's one of those, the ownership is likely to overlook all those other issues.
It's okay. I'll see you mid-draft and be there with Vic Fangio, so I feel your pain.
Yeah, but at least Fangio can draft O-line.
Yeah, but that's kind of always been a catalyst of the Broncos, is a good O-line. Kind of like the Vikings have always had a pretty solid front seven from the Purple People Eaters on up.
Yeah. But man, I'd kill for a solid O-line because the amount of offensive weapons they have wasted.
You mean you guys can't get Hutcherson out of retirement? I know he's inducted, but
Yeah, it's just that's the worst part. When you look at the O-line Spielman inherited when he first got brought on to help with drafting players. You had Hutchison, you had I think it was Herrera at the time, you had Lodeholt, you had Burke, you had some like just mean solid players.
Yep.
The best they've done since then is what, Bradbury?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Vikings won.
Yay! And they ate the minstrels and rejoiced. Hooray!
I only saw the Seahawks Rams.
Well, we can touch the Washington Eagles game
let's
for
talk
a
about that one,
second.
'cause I didn't honestly see anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a little bit. The Hurts interception was on Goddard because he caught it, dropped it, but dropped it on his ankle, and it went from his ankle into the defender's arms. I think it would have been a different game had Washington had either one of their quarterbacks, Kyle Allen or Heineke.
Yeah, Heineke. Yeah. Like I feel bad for Washington because they were this close to taking the division, and then it's just got trailed by
It's
injuries
all
and
going
COVID.
downhill now.
Well, yeah, when you lose a guy like Chase Young off your D line, it's gonna hurt
Well,
you.
even since
Defense
then,
played better when you left.
it's literally the last 2 games because like going to that Cowboys game, they really got hammered by injuries, but if they had won that game, they had a shot to take the division from the Cowboys. And even tonight, if they had won this game, they still had a shot at taking the division. But
Yeah.
between injuries and COVID, they just didn't have the players. They weren't
No.
able to get people back enough. And it's kind of sad because, like,
Well, I mean,
They-
Ron Rivera is not a bad coach at all.
Oh, it's great.
yeah,
He got the Panthers to the Super Bowl, and then got railed by Von Miller. But still, he got the Panthers to the Super Bowl.
I would love to see what Rivera can do with this roster if they can stay healthy next year.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the conversation last year as well, if I remember.
I mean, but at the same time, they still made the playoffs and almost took out the Bucks.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have been really curious how he would have done had Smith's leg not have just been bone.
yeah,
And like, I'm sure that they benched him just because for his own sake, because he was totally willing to play. He got him to the playoffs, so it's like that's hard to do. But if you're out there, you might die. So,
Yeah.
It still weirds me out that the Alex Smith and Joe Theismann injury happened same day, same yard line, same team,
Yeah.
same score, and I'm like,
I
how the fuck?
can't even imagine what that had to have been like for Theismann to watch that going, not again, not
Yep.
again.
Because he was broadcasting the game, wasn't he?
I don't remember if he was broadcasting, but I know he was like actually like at the stadium watching,
Yeah.
and he had to have just died inside.
Yep.
He's literally the only person in that building who knew exactly what Smith was going through.
Yep.
One thing I'll say about the Eagles though, Hurts threw for 300 yards. He did good.
No, Hurts had a solid game, especially after they got the turnovers cleaned up because I think he fumbled too in the first half after that interception. So yeah, they clean up the turnovers and they pull out the win. So they went well.
Oh, what was it? I'd pull it up, but I'm going to drop off if I do. I saw where they were comparing Hurts' first 12 games and Lamar Jackson's first 12 games. They were eerily similar.
Yeah.
Even prior to this season, they compared the final, I will say it was 4 games of last season to Lamar's final 4 of his rookie season. And same thing.
Yeah.
Crazy similar. They also compared him to Lamar's current season with Hurts in those last 4 games because it was like a fantasy comparison, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can't get Lamar early, you might as well take Hurts later because they're going to perform the same.
Exactly.
In a few leagues, which worked, but
It's just one has a better eye test. So,
Yeah.
gets to the final game this week. Seahawks. Now the Rams are knocking on the division title.
I imagine that was not the result you wanted.
you mean they pulled a Yankees and they're just buying it right now?
Basically, they have what, 1 pick? Couple
Yeah,
years.
pretty much. It's a mortgage a farm for the Super Bowl.
For one.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, and this would be the year to do it with all the fucking
Chaos.
crazy with it too.
Mm-hmm.
What? So something I saw is October and November. You had 15 players on COVID protocol. This month there's 142.
Yeah.
And I swear half of them are on the Rams.
But then it's one of those, are they just getting out of the way so that the way they have them all for the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were lucky it wasn't any major contributors, though, too. Like, they are so lucky it wasn't Cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And who knows, like, he might get it by the playoffs because it tends to spread the routine.
Yeah. Speaking of fantasy, in Cup's dad's league, his friend said, "No, we're not going to let you just draft Cup because he's your son after this season."
No more.
Yeah.
No more.
So
Yeah, that's. I'm curious to see if the Rams can get it together in time to make a push.
I hope they don't.
Oh, of course you don't.
I see them doing it though.
I mean, they're playing the Ravens, then they have us at the end. Which, if Shanahan is still McVay's daddy by the end of the season, it'll show. But you never know within division.
No, and that's joy division games.
What? Oh, that's interesting. So I just project this out, and let's assume right now. So you have the Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Bucks, Cardinals. If they all win out, the big key game is the Cardinals Cowboys.
Yep.
Because that completely reorders seeds 2 through 4.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I gotta go.
All right, sir.
Have a good one.
Y'all
sir.
have a good one.
We'll try as we try to power through these games. So, let's see.
The machine. Going to week 16 now.
Yeah.
This starting here.
So, how do you like your chances on a Thursday night game?
I mean, after Sunday's game, Shanahan immediately told them, "You're not celebrating. We're on to Tennessee. Like, we don't have time to celebrate." So I like that they're focused. So I'm sure Tennessee is just as focused coming off a loss, if not more, because they lost to the Steelers. And they had the game in the bag, and just lost to that fourth quarter. But it's a lot of what ifs, because if it's a lot of what ifs on the Niners, if they could stop the run game for Tennessee, chances are higher. Also, if we can get our run game going.
I think another thing you're going to watch is the Titans have had games where their D-line has gotten a lot of pressure in the face of quarterbacks. Like, that's how they beat the Bills. That's how they beat a few teams. And, Garoppolo is the kind of guy that you get in his face, he's going to start falling apart. So you need to be able to either give him time to make passes or have the run game going enough that they can't just, rush him every play. So if Tennessee's pass rush shows up, I think is also going to be a huge what if.
Same. I guess apparently, statistically, Garoppolo has been a top 5 QB under pressure though in the past games.
Interesting.
So yeah,
because it feels like every single game of his I've seen is once the team started getting to him, that's when he just started making bad throws and overthrowing guys.
That happens, but also especially in this last game, I saw him moving his feet a lot more. Previously in the season, he's been very sedentary, sitting on one spot, but there was one play where he danced around the pocket, moved up really far, his feet were moving the whole time, and that was something we saw in 2019 prior to his injury in 2020. So it was good to see, but no, yeah, I don't know, because definitely if that pass rush shows up, how they beat the Bills, because they contain Josh Allen, yeah, it can go the other way.
Hard. So, who would you pick? Obviously, you want the Niners to win.
I mean,
obviously, but who is that? Your gut says is going to win. If you had to pick, say yes, this team's going to win. Who do you pick?
To me, on paper, covering this up, it should be San Francisco, just because Tennessee is without their top playmakers.
I think that's a solid reasoning. This one seems like it should be easy, even if the Browns weren't hurting.
Yeah, even if they get back Baker,
yeah, I just don't see them recover from that.
Slimmest of hope I can see them have is if the defense steps up like they did last week, could get a rush to Rodgers, which for some reason they couldn't get a rush to Carr. That was weird.
That could just be their missing.
They get Chubb going.
Yeah,
because use the run game, keep Rodgers off the field, run up the score, a couple scores, I think you have a chance.
Yeah.
This will be a fun game, actually.
Before this weekend, I would have picked Cardinals, but honestly, it really depends on if the Cardinals defense can shut down Taylor. If they can't, I don't see
100%.
a way for them. And right now, I don't feel like they will. The Cards just are trending in the wrong direction to me.
I mean, the division's on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And right now, I do lean this way just based on the past couple games from them. And if they're without Hopkins, like it's not a what, they are without Hopkins. And if this pass rush gets to Kyler a few times, he showed in that last game he gets frustrated really easily.
Yeah. But again, this is still one of those. Well, I picked the Colts. I would be surprised to see the Cardinals pulled off, just because.
Not at all.
If you shut down Taylor and get to Wentz. Yeah, that's all you need to do.
You and your secondary is going to make plays.
Yeah. I mean,
that's also the big if on Taylor.
So this one should be the Falcons, but who knows now?
Yeah, honestly, that is a toss-up because the Lions, if they show up the way they did against the Cardinals, they can go on a couple win streak, but
also, the Falcons have shown up in games where you're like, oh, every time I'm ready, like, all right, the Falcons, it's over for them. They show up and actually like try to win a game. So
I'd say leaning Atlanta. That's if the Lions turn back into a pumpkin.
Yeah, if they are who we thought they were,
basically.
Yeah. Speaking of pumpkins, man.
Oh man. I mean, I feel like it's the obvious choice, but they're gonna high chance they're without Godwin, high chance they're without Evans, and I think Brown is still serving his suspension.
Yeah, I think the Bucs will still win. I like this does seem like I don't see them dropping 2 games in a row, especially with where the Panthers are right now. However, that's not to say that I think it's outside realm possibility that the Panthers have a strong chance at winning, because the Bucs are missing key players, and the defense has shown that they can do what is needed to disrupt them, especially right now. So, yeah, I would definitely lean Bucs, but it's one I want to keep my eye on for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of shakeups though too with these matchups.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They drop, and then that drops them all the way to 4th seed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. It's like really the Packers are the only team who can really coast to the end.
Yeah.
Like it really does. Is looking like everyone except for maybe the top 2 seeds are going to be playing to the very end of the season. Which
right here.
This is another really big one.
Speaking of, yeah, this is straight up for playoffs.
Not just for playoffs, but it's the difference of being the 4th seed or the 3rd seed for either team.
Well, Baltimore's out right now, so they just.
That's me. Like so, the Bengals could hang on to the 3rd seed and keep the Ravens out, or the Ravens could knock out the Bengals and take the 4th seed. So it's just, I don't know, man.
I lean Bengals just because they have a good running back and they have those 3 receivers who are healthy, and the Baltimore Ravens, their secondary is down to like their 4th and 5th string corners.
Yeah.
So like gut option, I think the Bengals should have it. But
here's the thing, though.
I'm not going to count them out.
Are the Bengals a better team than the Packers?
Yeah, that's another question. I mean, both of these teams lost very similarly within 1 score.
And not only that, it's also like compare the Bengals to the Packers. overall the Bengals have better receivers. I think the Packers have a better backfield because they have 2 running backs who can be
True.
star running backs. Well, Burrow's been good this year. Let's be honest, it's not even close who has a better quarterback. And then both of them, their defense has been playing better than I think anyone expected.
True.
But they still haven't been lights out. So I think it really comes down to is do the Ravens, are they like hungover from that close loss? Or because also, they had injuries, they had people out with COVID. So do they get enough people back that they bounce back or not? And I don't know. This almost feels like it could be a 50-50.
It feels 50-50 to me because I don't like counting out Baltimore, even if, say, like the receivers should have a field day for the Bengals. Because you don't know what dynamic quarterbacks the Baltimore has, the weird run games they get going, and you just have to make enough plays with Andrews and Marquise Brown. So, yeah, I mean, I can see it be close and really go either way.
Yeah. I mean, this one feels like it should be the Chargers, but you never know with the Chargers.
That's true. I mean, I'm gonna, because it should be. I'm gonna click that. Keeps them in the race, but for fun. Yeah, they have to win.
Oof, yeah. And that's what's interesting. We are really getting down to like a bunch of must-win games.
It's
Which
already
makes
hit
a must-win game.
playoffs. Yeah.
I mean, I'm super pessimistic, and I honestly, with how much they struggled against the Bears, I don't see how they don't get handily beaten by the Rams. I just don't.
I mean, that's fair, but you guys played a healthy Russell Wilson. They played a mostly healthy Russell Wilson, and it was still a fairly close game.
Yeah, but I mean, but also that's a divisional game, so it's kind of hard to. That's like saying the Vikings beat the Packers, but then they struggled against the Bears and lost to the Lions.
I mean, when you're in talks here.
Yeah, but it's one of those like so the Vikings quarterback, not quarterback, cornerbacks, and like secondary especially. They're the kind that gets picked apart by Kupp and OBJ and Stafford. And Stafford knows their secondary. True. He knows that team. Yep. And while, yes, the Rams don't have as great of a running back, they still have some serviceable ones. And then on top of that, the Vikings defense just as a whole, it's banged up. It's not playing to its potential. They're getting run over. So I think the Rams will find success running. And if they are running, then it's game over at that point. But especially turn the other way around, I don't see how the Vikings O-line can block the D-line. I really don't.
That's fair. You got Von Miller and Donald to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. If the Vikings can run the ball, I think your chances are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the defense to get pressure on Stafford.
Well, actually, it's not even just running the ball. They have to be able to do both. If they are only doing one or the other, I think it's not going to go pretty with them.
Yeah, that's fair.
If a lot of teams like, oh, yeah, well, let's run the ball, but we're going to keep you out of the end zone, and we're just going to shut down the passing game. Or they're going to be like, okay, we're going to shut down the run game and make you beat us in the air when you have Kirk Cousins against Jalen Ramsey.
Over here.
This is a big
I feel like I still lean this way.
Yeah, I do too. Especially because it's in Foxborough.
I mean, this is also for division lead here.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing here to me is Buffalo, they struggle to run the ball, and you need to run the ball to beat the Patriots right now. And they showed they can't stop their run game, and that's going to be a big thing too. If Buffalo can stop the run game, then I think they have a better shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think the other big part of this is the Patriots need this to still have a shot at the number 1 seed. Because if they win this game and the Chiefs lose to the Steelers, they're back in first place. So, yeah, I don't see how you could pick the Bills. There's too many factors against them.
Yeah, really is.
I feel like it should be the Jags.
Taco Bowl. It really, like, I took the Jags last week against the Texans, thinking, okay, they'll run the ball, they'll have control. I can see them win. They're oddly enough, they're a little more complete because you don't know what you have in Wilson here.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could feel that.
But at the same time,
I feel like the Jets can surprise people, like they have.
There's literally very, very few results of that matchup that would surprise me. Blowout win either way, super close game, low scoring, super close, high scoring game, a tie. I don't think I'd be surprised by any of those.
That would be. Eagles, Giants. Honestly, it should be this way.
Yeah. I don't see how the Eagles don't.
Especially if Glenn's still playing. Their run game's not what it used to be unless they should use Booker more. I think they'd have a chance, but Glenn's going to cough up the ball too much.
Yeah. I feel like this should be the Seahawks. Just it's the Seahawks are a hot mess, but the freaking Bears, man.
I feel like this is what it should be too. Like, just you're used to Seattle winning these matchups, but I think it could go either way, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears win, just because of the way the QB is playing, Fields, like, and the way they played the Vikings, like, and even the Packers through the first half and even into the third quarter, like they dropped that game late. I was surprised if they could put a game together, but also for their sake, I do hope that they lose because then you might be able to get rid of Nagy.
Well, it's one of those, like, it's a Bears one. I wouldn't view it as an upset. It's really what it comes down to. And not because the Bears are that good. It's because I think the Seahawks have fallen that far.
Yep. I got that. And I think they would struggle against a highly mobile quarterback that Fields is. So. Over here.
Now, this is another one of those super critical games because that's, I mean, conceivably that could be playoffs or not for the Steelers.
Yep.
And it's a bye or not for the Chiefs.
Yep. Initially, Kansas City. But Steelers are super tough in the fourth quarter. And
here's actually, like, you know what? I'm going to go Steelers just because also the other thing is the Chiefs are missing a lot of key pieces. Like, take away Hill, take away Kelsey. Okay, so who's your
they're missing Kelsey.
Your number 1 and 2 receiving options?
Pringle. And the dump offs to Hilaire.
Yeah.
So I'm for fun. Yeah. I'll go with it. I'll click here. Because the Kelsey hit COVID, I think is gonna be huge.
And it's losing both of them. If you just had one of them, I think they could still overcome that. But losing both those guys.
Did Hill go down with COVID too?
Yes. Hill got added to the COVID list. And then not only that, they lost again. Like I was saying, they have a total of they added 7 guys. So linebacker, offensive tackle are starters. They also put a quarterback, tight end, guard, and other cornerback were added to the reserve list as well. On top of also being down Kelsey, their kicker, and another quarterback.
Yep.
So that's a lot of hits to overcome. Oh, they only have They only have a rookie as the active tight end.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Let's just click that button as an upset for the week. Right here. Broncos, Raiders.
I feel the Raiders just because Drew Lock is awful.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders played a really good game against Chubb last week. As far as stopping the run, he still had almost 100 yards, had a touchdown. If they get the two-headed attack going with Javonte Williams and Gordon, then yeah, like I could see the Broncos run away with it if the Raiders' run defense doesn't show up like it has been almost all season except for last week. But yeah, I feel like smart choice is still the Raiders here.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Yeah. It's not to say that I don't think Washington can't pull it off. It's just they would need a lot of guys back to pull it off. And I don't know if they will.
Yeah. I mean, they can get back their quarterbacks because I think they're vaccinated. They could have almost played today if they tested negative, but yeah,
yeah, it's a rough go for him. I feel bad.
Yeah, you got to go that way.
Now this
one
one
is actually interesting.
On paper, it feels like it should be the Saints. Like that's your gut, but it's. I could see the Saints being hungover from that win. That I could see this being a trap game for them.
I can too, because they have to contain someone like Tua, who has options to throw it to, and Gesicki, and if he gets back Waddle, that'll be huge, because he also has Parker.
And also, he's a lot more mobile than Brady.
Oh, yeah, he can escape the rush. And then if you stop the run game here with Kamara, then you make Hill win you the game, and you're going to get some opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely pick the Saints, but this is one, again, where if the Dolphins win, I don't see it as an upset.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be an upset.
Which definitely, it does, so that would lead to some shakeups.
A little bit. I mean, Arizona dropping top to 5th seed. Up to 2nd.
So here's what's interesting is, let's see, I'm just curious. I want to see how much chaos we can make here.
Trying like in the next 2 weeks?
No, just how tight it would be. So let's say, change it to Titans beating Niners, Browns beating Browns beating the Packers, Cardinals beating the Colts. Look at how just close that is all around. 10-5, 10-5, 10-5. Friggin' the NFC though, 5 teams at 11-4.
Yeah. And so it looks like this stays the same based on everything else. Like,
yeah,
it's the same teams, just the seating's changed. But yeah, over here, like,
and then even more. So
Pittsburgh moves up.
Ooh, so if the Texans beat the Chargers,
that
what
puts
else could we
Tennessee.
do? If Miami beats the Saints, you're still not quite in. That just puts them at. Yeah, that's still. Man.
It's a tight race for seeding.
Yeah. Like, and it's normally you have like a tight race still for the wild cards, but this is a tight race for every single team. They are all like right there. If a couple teams can win this week, like if the Packers win, then they're basically on cruise control.
Yeah.
And also I think if the Chiefs win, they are also now on cruise control. Well, no, except for they don't have super easy games, so Yeah, really, I think the Packers are the only team who could conceivably get to a point where they could rest people at the end of the season against the Lions. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, Pittsburgh needs to keep winning. Stay in here. Let's see. Slap in a couple upsets in here. Interesting. Right now, the way they're playing, I had to click that. Fun.
so that actually looks like it might conceivably be a must-win game for the Steelers this weekend.
Yeah.
Because if they lose that, then they're no longer in control of their destiny. They would need other teams to lose just to have a shot at the playoffs, it looks like. Yeah, that's a huge game for them. Yeah, it's quite likely that the Steelers lose to the Chiefs this weekend. They don't make it back in because they would lose on tiebreakers.
Yeah. At that point, their only shot.
They need Buffalo and Chargers or Indy. They need those teams to drop some games.
Yeah. And then they need to win the division games.
Yeah.
At least. If they win the division games, they can win the division and get in.
But even then, can they? Let's see. So they beat the Browns that week, and then if Browns beat them, and yeah, so that could work. Is if so if they drop the Chiefs game, but then Kansas City beats the Bengals, and then you would need Rams beat the Ravens. They would need to beat the Browns, and then the following week the Steelers need to beat the Ravens. Browns need to beat the Bengals. Then they have a path. But again, it's still one of those their only shot at controlling their destiny is to beat the Chiefs. So
yeah, it seems like AFC is going to shuffle a lot just based on other teams' games, not just your own games. So that's kind of interesting. NFC
is kind of in the same boat, really, though.
Yeah, they changed by one team. It seems like.
It's so 2nd through 5th can really change just because they're all right there. Those are the teams that really can change depending on how the games go. And it's because since the records are so close, you're getting into a lot of the tiebreakers. Like you're getting into a 4 or 5 way tie. So that's what I think what's doing it is as it is, we could conceivably end up with a 5-way tie at the top of the NFC. Yeah. And in that case, it's then it really does come down to how do all the other teams do, because then you need those teams to play well or beat certain people to help your winning percentage and divisional record. So,
yeah, and I mean, right now, I worked out this little wild one where the Cardinals missed the playoffs because they could potentially lose here. I mean, if what happened to them to the Lions happens again, and they get in their heads. They're playing some decent teams, like between the Colts, they got the Cowboys, and they're playing Seahawks, which is division. So conceivably, they can drop the next 3 and be out as long as this happens. If not, they're in there 7 seed if Dallas can pull off a win here.
One thing though. So it does look like at least Dallas has guaranteed they're in the playoffs. Like they've guaranteed, and not only that, it looks like they've guaranteed that they can't go lower than the 4th seed.
Yeah.
So they're good. But it's like, I mean, Bucks could lose out, but the Saints could take the division from the Bucks. The Rams could take the division from the Cardinals. I mean, shoot, is there even a path for you guys to take the division?
Good. There is right here. It's if you guys win, or
yeah.
if they lose to Baltimore, even. Yeah.
So the Packers have and the Cowboys have their division locked up. Now they're just playing for seeding. But the Bucks, Cardinals, and Rams are playing for division and seeding.
Yeah, I mean, either way, the Bucks could drop everything and they're still in the playoffs. Like
they're still in the playoffs, but they go from like they could get they have a shot at the 1st seed to being like 7th or 6th seed.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy to me is like literally so many like basically everyone's still they need one more week to really start getting that breathing room.
So but I think enjoyable with this wild shuffle is either we play the Rams their way of whoever wins the division doesn't matter. High chance. Ooh. I think that we play them.
Man, going on the road playing the Bucks would be a rough one in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that was also me flipped a different switch too. Because there was a scenario here where the Niners went from 5 or 6. We either played Dallas or played Los Angeles, and it seemed very realistic.
Let's see.
I think it was the switch. Yeah. LA being Baltimore.
So here's a fun one. I found a scenario, and it's actually there's a couple ways to go, where you guys take the 6th seed and have to go on the road to play the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, that's this one. That's the one I worked out earlier too. Is we're on the road.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope that happens just because.
The bet I bet
you and Kima would have some fun.
Well, we already have a waiter standing, so as long as the teams, so provided both teams go to the playoffs, whichever team makes it further that following game, the other person has to wear that team's colors or jersey.
Yeah, so imagine that bet comes down to playing each other.
It's more than one way it could. So.
Yep. Either way, man, we are in a we got some interesting few weeks left. And
sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone can really be picking a favorite. Like, if you told me, "Hey, who's winning the Super Bowl right now?" I would throw a dart.
I'd say betting odds are Patriots and Bucks, but even that's like. I'm sure different now. They had the highest chance earlier, a little before this week.
Yeah, but now it's like I'm sure betting odds are the Packers. Chiefs seem like they're also a high bet, but it's also like if ever there was a year for like all the top seeds just get knocked out first game they play, this feels like it's it. This feels like it could just be all the road teams going on a tear.
Yeah. That's possible. Don't know, but it makes for good football, good watching.
Yeah. Good times. We'll see if we're still saying it's good times next week, though.
See. That could be a case of Michelob's after that. We'll see.
I think there'd be some well-earned Michelob's.
Oh, yeah.
Either way.
Stock up.
Well, I think we should call it a night for this
Yeah.
Christmas.
Christmas special.
Yep. You all have fun. Enjoy the game.
Everyone have a good night. Yeah. Good week of football.